So in this part, we will learn what is the meaning of history. The word history comes from the ancient Greek word called as histor. Histor actually means learned or wise man. So this is the wise man and his name is Histor. Okay. Now the word come from another Greek word called as historia, which means asking questions, finding answers, and learning through inquiry. Right? Asking questions, finding answers, and learning through inquiry. Now, over the time, the meaning of history has changed, and it became the study of what happened in the past. Who is the father of history? Now, there was a Greek man called as Herodotus. Now, this man is known as the father of history. Now, why this guy is known as the father of history? Because he was the first person to collect stories, ask questions, and write about real events that happened in the past. So, he's the first guy to do all of these. Now, let's go through a timeline, right? So, in the 5th century BC, the Greek word historia was used. Now, during those times, it was known as asking questions, investigating, and learning by finding out facts. So, people used this word when they wanted to understand something by studying it carefully. Now, around 440 BC, a Greek man called as Herodotus wrote a book called as Historiae, right? A book called as Historiae. As you can see, these are the two empires, the Greek Empire and the Persian Empire. And these two empires were always at war, right? So this book called as Historia was about the Greco-Persian War and the very different cultures that Herodotus saw and learned about them. Now, there are many ways Herodotus collected information. He actually collected stories from people by listening to them, which are called as oral accounts. Because he was the first person to study the past in this way, people started calling him the father of history. Now, later around 400 BC, another Greek writer called as Thucydides said that Herodotus had added too many myths and stories in his writing. For example, Herodotus wrote that there were ants in India which carried gold, right? So this is stupid. So Thucydides believed that history should be based on real facts and evidence. And Thucydides wrote about politics and wars using only what he could prove. Now, Herodotus wrote many things that were myths. So that is why people like Thucydides called Herodotus the father of lies. Now, in 1st century BC, a famous Roman speaker called as Cicero called Herodotus Patre Historiae, which means the father of history in Latin. Now, Cicero also said that yes, there are issues with Herodotus. He wrote many things that were myths, but he wrote history in a very careful and organized way. So that is why he should be regarded as the father of history.